Our next presenter is going to be Miss Tamara Calhoun. Ms. Calhoun is currently the section manager for the Occupational Licensing section of the TCEQ. She's worked with the Occupational Licensing section of the Occupational Licensing and Registration Division since 2003. In 2006, Tamara was the lead program staff that assisted in the development and implementation of the electronic reporting system for training providers known as TROLLS, Training Roster Online Submittal, which is now a successful reporting system for our training providers. In March 2016, she was the lead program staff that helped develop and implement the e-application as well as the pre-approval process. In 2018, she was a key individual in the development and implementation of the Occupational Licensing Electronic Application, OLEA, OL's newest online application. During 2019, she worked with the team to develop and implement the Licensing Exam Registration, LXRR, OL's online exam registration and cancellation system. So please welcome Tamara Calhoun.
Thank you. I'm exhausted just from hearing that, so sounds like I've been busy over the years. Well, I appreciate you all taking the time to come in today and listen to the updates that we have to provide. I think some of them are going to be very helpful to you because some of them will be affecting you directly if you do hold an occupational licensing with us. So first and foremost, just going over some things that I'm going to talk about today. I'm going to provide program statistics. Everybody's interested in those numbers, so we always want to give that. I'm going to give you some exam updates that we have going on, some training requirements that are about to change, specifically with the resiliency training that is going to be coming up, and provide some updates on programs for high school students, and as well as the 88th Texas Legislative Session updates and what bills passed that are going to directly affect you. First, go over our organization just so you understand how our structure is. So, Occupational Licensing and Registration Division, our Deputy Director is Haya Zeman. And then we have two sections in our division. We have R&R, which is Registrating and Reporting. They take care of IHW, sludge transporters, UST registration, gas delivery certificates, and such. And then there's us, the Occupational Licensing section. Within the Occupational Licensing section, to go even deeper into the organizational chart, we have two teams. We have the Occupational Licensing side. Team leader is Teresa Etheridge. I'm sure some of you all have talked to her. And then we have our training and exam side of things, where the training is developed and approved, and exams are maintained and created and whatnot. Paul Mugia, who is here with me today to help answer some questions, is our project manager for that side of it. And then we have Megan Brown, who is the work lead. So if you need to reach out to them, please feel free. And then in the licensing side, we have two programs. Water program, which contains water, CSI, BPAT, so the water-related licenses. And then we have the wastewater program, which consists of our wastewater type licenses, wastewater, OSSF, irrigation, things like that. Ashley Robledo, who is about to return from maternity leave, is a work lead for that program, and for the water program, it's Stephanie Spencer. So again, if you have any questions about our licenses, please feel free to reach out to any one of these individuals. All right, so some statistics, or what we do, besides what some people say, sit around on our thumbs or twiddle our thumbs or do nothing because we're state employees. We actually do a lot more than what you probably think that we do. So I just kind of want to cover that today. So we obviously issue environmental related type licenses. Again, for the most part, most of you guys are water, wastewater operators, but we do have 10 different occupational licenses that we maintain in our program area. We also review and approve training, courses, and providers. So Paul is part of that team, providers that want to offer the training that you have to take as a licensed individual. We approve that training and those training providers and the courses that they are going to offer. We also oversee all the license exams. Again, we create and maintain them. A lot of other state agencies actually hire out other entities to create and maintain their exams. And we in occupational licensing do that ourselves, which is a lot of work to maintain 35 plus exams. I don't know the exact total, but it's a lot. We also complete job task analysis. This is to determine the valid job content and employment requirements within the occupations that we regulate. So we survey subject matter experts. So if you're water or wastewater, we would send you a survey and you would answer questions related to that, water or wastewater. And then we take that data and we analyze it. And we see what is the critical job task that must be included in our exams to be able to test your knowledge, to be able to get a license. So those are just a few things that we do. A lot of customer service. Many of you have called or emailed us. So that also takes up a good part of our job to help with this. So here's some statistics. Just overall, again, I mentioned that we have 10 different licensing programs. I'm not going to go over all of them, but as you can see, our water and our wastewater programs are our largest two programs. But we do have over 56,000 licensees in the state of Texas, so we get a lot of phone calls and emails regarding all different types of licenses. So if you do call or email us and we may not get back to you immediately, just be patient. We will get back to you within 24 to 48 hours. So water type licenses, as I mentioned earlier, our water program, these are the licenses that are within that program, the BPAT, CSI, and of course all the various different water type licenses that we have. So again, 56,000 licensees in the state of Texas across all 10 programs. Last year, FY22, because we haven't completed FY23, our year starts September 1st and ends on August 31st. So we're about to wrap up our fiscal year. But so last year, fiscal year 22, we issued a little over 19,000 licenses, and we processed over 16,000 exams. So to obtain a license, there are certain requirements that one must meet. By raise of hands, how many individuals in here hold a license with TCEQ? Okay, probably a good 90+% of you all. So at one time or another, you have experienced meeting one or more of these requirements. But there's education or experience requirements depending on what level of license that you're going for. Complete training, I mentioned that our team does training approval, so you would take one of the TCEQ approved training, pay an application fee. We all got to get paid, right? And then submit a completed application, which we now offer for a couple of years, our online application, but our paper application is still available to you as well. One of the important things is to pass a criminal history review. It's very important that we continue to protect the public, whether it be by drinking water or just their general safety. So we do conduct criminal history checks for those that are applying for a state license. Once you've met all of those requirements and everything's good, then you get that approval to sit for the exam, in which case you must pass with a 70 or above. Some of the rules that go along with our licenses is 30 Texas Administrative Code 30 and subchapter A, B, C, and K. Those are specific to the water area, and of course A is just the general, how many years you can hold the license, what the fee is and everything, and then each of the other subchapters such as B, C, and K, it goes into the specific requirements for that particular license. So if you're ever wondering where the rules are, this is where you can find them. All right, so just a few things. These are some common questions that we do get on the phone or the email. And one is, do I need to be licensed? And the answer is anybody that performs process control duties in a public water system must be licensed. The only exception to that rule is if you are considered an operator in training, and an operator in training is defined as someone with less than 1 year of experience. That experience is not less than 1 year at city of ABC, it's their entire career. So if they came from a different city or municipality, that time counts too. So someone that has less than 1 year of experience is considered an operator in training, and they can work under the direct supervision of another licensed operator until they are able to obtain their own license, which they must have after 1 year. So they can only work unlicensed for up to 1 year. Again, that's only if they're performing process control duties. So an example of that would be if you have somebody that's just a meter reader and all they're doing is going around reading meters, they wouldn't be required to have a license. But if they are going and turning off the valve, changing out the meter, disinfecting after the change out, that would be considered process control. So they would be required to have a license. Water operations companies also who contract with a public water system are required to be registered with us and provide the proper type and level license that that system requires. So even if you're going by Bob Jones, just an individual, and you're contracting with several different municipalities to operate their system, you are required to register as an operations company. Even though you're not officially a company, you're still required to register. So I just want to make sure that people understand that even if you're an individual, you still must register as an operations company. All right, so the water requirements are here. They're also in our rules. I'm not going to go over each and every line item here. But as you can see, we start off at the D level, which is the entry level license, and go all the way up to the A level, with C and B being broken out into the specific areas. And depending on what you're applying for, depends on what education, experience, training, and all of that is required. If you're ever unsure, please contact our office. We're more than happy to discuss it with you and make sure that you understand what those requirements are. We also offer reciprocity from other states. So other states sometimes require, the only time they're going to reciprocate a license from another state is if you have that agreement with them. Our rules do not make us have an agreement with another state. So we can consider any other state, country, or territory's license to reciprocate that here to a Texas license. The only thing that is required is that the license that you hold there is current and in good standing, that you obtained that license by taking an examination. So as long as you have those requirements, we can definitely take a look at it. But all of them are reviewed on a case-by-case basis, and we do have a panel that reviews it. So it's not just one person taking a look at it going, yes, no, or it's a panel that decide what level and type can be reciprocated. Texas is one of the most stringent states. I'm not going to say the most, but one of the most stringent states. So a lot of cases when somebody reciprocates a license, say they're at the A level there, well, we may only be able to reciprocate a B. And it's all based on the requirements for that license, and we compare it to what that would get you here. Despite the fact that you might have 30 years of experience in the industry, we just take what were the requirements that got you that license there and what would that get you here. That's how we reciprocate. Then at that point, then you're eligible to upgrade to any license that you qualify for. So I want to make that clear that you can still go up. It's just you're going to start off at this level based on the information, and then you can just move up from there. All right, and a license is valid for 3 years, and you're required to complete 30 hours of continuing education, which basically breaks down to about 10 hours per year that you hold the license. So we definitely encourage individuals to take that training throughout the validity of that license and not wait till a month or a couple months before, because as I'm sure some of you all have experienced, stuff can happen. And it's not a fun situation to be in when you're scrambling to find that training or scrambling to find the funds to pay for your license renewal. So just, and all the training all at the same time. So just spread it out, make sure you meet those requirements in ample amount of time before you have to renew. So it's a seamless process for both sides. And along with that, you do need to submit a completed application, criminal history, and fee. And that can be done online. All of our renewals or most of our renewals can be done online. If you have to do it by paper, that's welcomed too. Just let us know and we'll get you that information. And of course, a $111 application fee. All right, training requirements. So this is for the training provider side, and they are under the guidance of RG 373. And if you're interested in becoming a training provider, it outlines everything that you need to be able to become a training provider and what's required after you're a training provider. Some of the training that's delivered is, of course, classroom training, such as this. This would be considered as classroom training. Conferences, webinars, association meetings, new, live online. COVID brought that on. Our training approval team, including Paul, diligently worked to transfer a lot of the classroom training that was approved over to live online, so you guys could still get the education that you needed to obtain or renew a license. And it was found within the industry that that was one of the desired ways to go. So we transitioned to make that a formal approval for the training providers to offer that live online. And just to be specific, live online is, even though you're virtual, you're not in a specific area, but the instructor is live and you can communicate with them in live time. So you're sitting at your desk or table, what have you, during a specific time frame. If it's just regular online training or what we call on-demand training, that's where you could start and stop, right? So, you know, you need to go eat lunch now, so you're going to pause it and then you're going to come back to that same spot. So that is something that would be considered as distance learning as well as correspondence. And as a reminder, distance learning cannot be repeated in the same renewal period. So if you go and take a water utility safety course online through ABC Company, and then you go take another online water utility safety with 123 Company, it doesn't matter. It's still considered as distance learning. But you can repeat live online because that is basically considered as if it was a classroom training. We certainly don't encourage repeating training, but sometimes we understand that that may be the only option for you at that particular time. All right, so here's some statistics for our training team. So in FY22, they approved a total of 279 various different training types. So here's a list of what they did do. And again, they keep very busy with approving those different types of training. It's a constant role all year long. We get new training providers all the time, or like conferences, those have to be approved each and every year. So we have to approve those over and over again. And correct me if I'm wrong, Paul, is fall the busy time for conferences? Yeah, typically fall is a busy time for conferences. So we're on our busy time right now trying to get all of those approved. All right, so here's some water program statistics. Again, all the different types of water licenses. And as you can see, the majority of our licenses are the D water operators. And then at the sea level, it's a little bit lower. And then as you see, it just kind of goes down from there, depending on what type and level. And this is the one that interests most everybody all the time. And these are our pass rates for fiscal year 2022. And as you can see, they vary based on type and level. And show of hands, how many AA operators do we have in the room? Good. Well, congratulations for making it that far. That's something to be proud of. Good. So we currently, well, as of FY22, again, we haven't ran our numbers for this year, we have 401 AA operators. So that's not a lot considering how many overall operators we have, but definitely a thing to be proud of. All right, and just a few BPAT and CSI statistics. This is what we worked on through FY22, how many licenses we issued, how many they have total, Somebody was asking me, and I don't know if he's in the room, of how many BPAT licenses we have, but as of last year, it's a little over 5,600, if you're in this room. All right, so some exam updates. We have worked very diligently. My deputy director, who I think walked in, did I see you come in, Haya? There she is. She played a major role in updating quite a bit of our exams to Spanish. So they're all available on CBT. We don't have Spanish and English versions. What it is an English version with a attachment with the question in Spanish for those that do need that Spanish help. So thank you, Haya, for your time and effort in that. It's greatly appreciated throughout the community. We have converted most of our exams, to be exact, all but one exams to CBT. The only exam that we still currently have that's only offered by paper is our site evaluator exam, and that is for our on-site sewage facility type license for the septic systems. And here is a list of all the available exams in Spanish. We're still working on converting some others, but we kind of had to put a little bit of a hold on it because of legislation, and now some rule updates and stuff based on the bills that passed. So bear with us, we'll get there. All right, again, all exams are available by CBT, including the Class A water operator. Can I get an applause for that? Because yes, thank you. That was a big one because, as all of you know, you had to come to Austin to take that exam. And I know we understand that that was a big undertaking for you guys to take off work, travel here, take the exam, only to have to come back and do it again, right? So at least now it is in your area, and no more essays. Can I get a hooray for that? Yay! Yes, I know all of y'all are excited about that. And as a result, mainly COVID, we have converted to 100% CBT exams. The only exception to that is to accommodate those that are approved through the ADA accommodations, like an oral exam or things like that. If you know anybody that has a learning disability that is interested in getting approved for special accommodations, do we have it on our website? I don't think so. I think you have to email in and we'll give you the form. It has to be completed by a professional to document your learning disability. And once approved, you can take any exams going forward, oral or extra time or whatever your case may be, depending on your learning disability. So we still do offer that, and those are offered in the various regions. I had that question this morning in the technical assistant room. You don't have to come to Austin. You can go to your local region office or any region office that you would like to do to take an exam for ADA accommodations. All right, so Senate Bill 3 in the 87th legislative session, which was 2 years ago, so we just finished the 88th legislative session, and they meet every 2 years. They did pass a bill regarding emergency preparedness for water operators, and this is all stemming from Storm Uri and the devastation that it caused to a lot of water systems, including many other things that that we are not responsible for. Well, you guys may be, but electrical grid and things like that. But so as a result of that, all water operators are going to be required to take some resiliency training in order to get licensed or to be able to renew a license. I'm going to try to explain this as best as possible, and if anybody has any questions, please let me know, or we're available afterwards to talk about it a little bit more in detail if you need it. Any water operator that is going to get a license or has a license will be required to take a 2-hour overview, a minimum of 2 hours. So I think some training providers might end up making it more than 2 hours, but a minimum of 2 hours of an overview course. What that is we're taking all the critical components that were outlined in the guidance document for resiliency, and the training provider will touch on each of those components and kind of provide you some information on how or where or who to contact if you were to experience another emergency like Uri. And so each operator will be required to take at least 2 hours of overview. To those that are currently licensed will have to take it, and those getting a license will have to take it. Once you have that overview and once you have a license, then from there you will be required to take at least 2 hours of resiliency continuing education. Those 2 hours will be part of the 30 hours that's required to renew that license. So on our website, under the training courses, you can go and click on water operators. Yeah, and it'll be designated like resiliency overview, or, and have some kind of resiliency in the topic or in a parenthesis or something like that. So we'll make sure that it's designated so you all know. So we're trying to implement it in early FY24, meaning we're going to come up with a definitive date that says if you expire on or after this date, or if you submit an application on or after this date, then from that date forward, anybody will have to have that. I think in the next page there's some, okay, it's outlined here too. So one of the things that we're doing in order to make sure that the individuals that currently have a license get that overview training is we're going to allow you the next 2 renewal periods to get it. So if you want to take it the first renewal period after the deadline date, okay, just assume we've already given that deadline date. And you renew after that point. You can take it the first renewal period. If you're like, I'm not ready to yet, then you'll have to take it within the next 2 renewal, one or the other. And our licensing team will be looking at that when we renew your license. And if you don't have it, we'll send you a deficiency letter and you'll have to get it at that time. But after that date, you will have to have one or the other in those first 2 renewal periods, either the overview, which we will allow to count for continuing education one time, or you'll have to have the continuing education up to 2 hours, or at least 2 hours, sorry. The overview training, but the renewal continuing education will have to happen every time you renew your license. Great question. Yes, we decided up front that we were going to count it for both water and wastewater. Even though the bill is specific to water operators, we're granting wastewater credit. The trainers will be subject matter experts in those areas, and they'll have to meet certain requirements for that. Yeah.
The virtual audience can't hear the question, so they're asking that you repeat the question.
Absolutely. I do
Thank you.
apologize. Yes. So the last question was, do we have to train the trainer? And the answer was, no, we don't train the trainer on these. We will expect that they are subject matter experts in the area of whatever they're teaching. The question is, since the requirement is 2 hours, will there be 2-hour courses? Yes. Now, some training providers may opt to create a larger one. Say, I'm just going to say, just throw a number out there, 10 hours, right? And that's fine. As long as it contains at least 2 hours of resiliency, then we will consider that as completed the resiliency training, right? Sorry, the question was, it was only required for water operators, not wastewater operators. Yes, that is correct. All right, so another exciting thing that we are working on right now is we are partnering with the Texas American Water Works Association. I guess not partnering, we're working closely with them to approve a, I guess you want to call it on-demand type of training. It's actually just a video that will be supplied to high schools that want to participate in this program. And the teachers at the school do not have to be subject matter experts in the area, so they can sit in the class and run this video, and the students watch it and participate in the questions and things like that that are in the video. to get credit for the basic water course in hopes to get them licensed for the D-Water to help build up, the lack of operators that we may have, the struggle for operators that we may have. The question was, is it only water? Currently, yes, it is only water. I do understand there's another training provider that's trying to work on the wastewater side, but we have not heard anything on that in quite some time. So that may be in the future. Yes, we hope it is in the future for sure. Yes. This is a pilot program that is going to start, and as of right now, the intent is to start it in the spring of 2024 with the high schools. The first and foremost thing we have to do is get that final video and get that approved, and as soon as that is done, then they can start. They're going to start it as a pilot program to only specific schools, and then if that is successful and does great, then they're going to start offering it statewide. Great question. The question was, basic water is a 20-hour course, so is it going to be spread out throughout the semester? I'm not sure of the exact length yet. We haven't determined that. I would assume at least probably a 6-9 week period, whatever schools are nowadays, or potentially throughout the semester. That's to be determined, but it's not going to be a 2.5-day class like you all would sit in. The question was, have the partner schools already been chosen, and what can they do to apply? I can't answer that. Haya, correct me if I'm wrong. I think the Texas Education Agency is the one that is spearheading that, correct? The question was, has the high schools already been determined for the pilot program? If not, how can they apply to be in the pilot program? And I think TEA is doing all of that.
Yes, exactly. For the pilot program, I think the high schools have already been selected, and the association is taking care of that. Now, once they launch it statewide, then anyone will be able to participate and access all the materials.
Okay, so if I understand you correct, they kind of asked for those volunteers for those schools. Is that what I'm understanding you're saying?
Jacksonville ISD has a earth science program, and they've been very proactive in looking at what they can do to put that in their curriculum. But that's a big major problem that we've approached from in East Texas, is trying to find high school teachers that want to jump on the bandwagon.
Question was basically it's a proctor, and the high school is a proctor, and yes, that is correct. Yes.
Is the course going to be based on the basic water course that we all take, or is that going to change the basic water course at all?
No, it's going to be based on the same information that you receive in the basic water. It's going to be a little bit different, just like if you were to take it from different training providers, you're going to get a little bit different information, but it's still the same overall information. Yes, good question.
Probably a good school district with a good conservative progressive superintendent would get his ag teacher, business teacher, science teachers together, show this program to them and say, how could we implement this to the kids and get it to all the kids? And first thing the kids are going to ask is, how much does it pay?
And that answer is it varies, as you all know, so depending on what municipality you're working in. So I think for time purposes, we're going to move on, but if you have any additional questions on that, please feel free to visit with me or Haya or Paul after the presentation. We're happy to talk to you about it. Okay, so what does this mean for the high schools? Well, it will eliminate the need to find a separate instructor for the high school. As I mentioned, they don't have to be a subject matter expert. They're available to start and stop the videos. And it will be readily available to any high school that does wish to participate. And it will encourage students, as I mentioned earlier, to potentially pursue a career in water and hopefully in the future wastewater as well, and reduce those barriers to employment. And of course, then it would increase the number of licensed water operators, which is the overall goal. The question was, do they still have to be 18 years old to take the test? There's never been a requirement for age for our licenses. Just currently, it's just that a high school diploma or GED. And one thing that I'm about to talk about with the bill is going to be very beneficial to the high school students as well, which I'm sure most of you are aware of. So again, we just concluded the 88th Texas legislation session back in June, I believe it was. And occupational licensing program analyzed 23 total bills and ended up having 6 of them passed and signed by the governor. There's a couple of them that don't really directly affect you all per se, but I'll go ahead and go over the bills that passed. So Senate Bill 510 and House Bill 3130, they are very, very similar bills in the fact that some information that is currently displayed on the website and that we maintain is now considered confidential. What that means is right now, if you go to our website and you search your license number or your name, you're going to see your mailing address, your work phone number, all your license information. If you have a deficiency on your application, it's going to display there. And now all of that information is considered as confidential. So we are no longer able to share that with anyone for that matter. So the addresses and phone numbers will be removed along with any application information such as your deficiency. And of course, there's some other stuff like social and stuff, but we don't display that on the website, so we don't have to remove that. This just kind of want to give you a little bit of heads up, to make sure maybe go check your license records now and see if you have the correct information. But if you don't, you can always fill out, if you don't know and it's not displayed anymore, you can still fill out a contact correction form and we'll double check to make sure everything is right. In the future, we will develop, or we hope to develop, a secure portal for you all to be able to actually access that information. But to meet the bill requirement, we have to take that information down by September 1st. So that information is soon to go away on our website. Just want to make you all aware of that. Great question. The question was, will the courses that they attend still be viewable? And yes, at this time, that will still be viewable. Your license information, so your name will be there, your customer number, I believe the county that you're in will be there, your license information, license number, effective date, expiration date, continuing education hours, and then your application statuses. All that information will still be there. Just your personal information will be excluded now. All right, the next one that passed is Senate Bill 422, and this is licensing of military individuals. We really don't have to do a lot with this because a lot of the bill we already implement, and it's regarding reciprocity, and we already have a reciprocity program, so we don't have to make a lot of changes. But one of the other things that's being added is if you are military, a spouse of a military veteran, what have you, we must process your application within 30 days. We're just going to ensure that those applications are processed timely to meet the intent of that bill. House Bill 1845, this is the one that's going to benefit the high school students. And as of September 1st of this year, we will be offering a provisional Class D water and wastewater license. This provisional license will have all the same requirements as a D water or wastewater, with the exception of the high school diploma or GED requirement. So high schoolers will be able to get a provisional license while they're in high school, and then eventually convert that to a regular license once they graduate. All right, well, look at there. All right, we have a question real quick. In the green?
So with high schoolers with the ability to obtain a D license by the time they graduate, won't that create a lapse in having a licensed operator at your plant? Because let's say that they graduated 18 with a license and they decide to be a water operator at the age of 20. but they'll lose their D license after so many years. So is this going to change the D license extension of how long you can have your D license, or if you can renew your D license so that you don't have an unlicensed operator for 2 potential years? You know what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying, but right now we're in the finalizing all the requirements for that. But I do believe once they get out that they can convert that to an actual D license. So then, but then once they have that D license, they're subject to the renewal requirements on that after that 3-year time period. It's not the age, it's after they graduate, but they have to request it. It's not going to be automatic. Okay. All right, thank you guys.
Thanks, Tim. Appreciate it.